Hi, I'm Dr. Pammy Jean. Do you experience stomach pain, gas, bloating, or nausea with your fibromyalgia on a regular basis? More than 2/3 of individuals with fibromyalgia have these issues. Or maybe it's constipation or diarrhea. Maybe it's acid reflux or GERD. Let's find out why. We've heard for years that many of us have IBS or irritable bowel syndrome. What is IBS? Well, according to Mayo Clinic, cramping, abdominal pain, bloating, gas, and diarrhea or constipation, or both, are the symptoms. It's a chronic condition that affects the large intestine. It has to be managed long-term, but only a small number of people in general have severe symptoms. But severe symptoms can be treated with medication and counseling. Some people control their symptoms through diet, lifestyle changes, and controlling stress. Mayo Clinic provides a list of signs and symptoms that are serious and when you should see a physician. For those of us with fibro, about 70% have IBS, and about 65% of people with IBS have fibromyalgia. Apparently, a high prevalence of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth is the cause. Oh, wow. This naturally occurring colon bacteria backs up into the small intestine. When treated with antibiotics, 48% of patients had a successful resolution of their IBS symptoms. I put a link below for you to check that out for yourselves. They used a specialized breath test to assess the overgrowth. The more the test read of hydrogen gas, the more correlation to pain experienced by the participant. I don't think I've ever tried antibiotics for my IBS, but since it's chronic, I would think it might go away temporarily and then come back again. I know I've tried probiotics with no success. Have you? So how does this intestinal growth get there? They aren't quite sure, but there are some factors that are believed to play a role. Quote, muscle contractions in the intestine, nerves in the digestive system, a severe infection that leads to IBS, early life stress, changes in gut microbes, as explained previously, unquote. But you can also trigger the symptoms through food allergies or food sensitivities, or from stress. IBS usually begins before the age of 50 in females who have a family history of IBS or who experience anxiety or depression or have a history of abuse. Quality of life looks different to everyone. If you live on a limited income, that doesn't mean that you automatically have a poor quality of life. You can make the most of any situation, of your situation. You're strong and awesome. I know that I would make it to my job with the pain, stiffness, and fatigue, but there were a few occasions that I found it difficult to go to work with a flare of my IBS symptoms. And although I get symptom relief from the medication for fibro, it has no effect on my GERD or irritable bowel, even though IBS and fibro are considered central sensitivity syndromes, which is a pain and sensory process alteration in the central nervous system. According to practical pain management, patients with fibro had a slightly greater risk of developing gastroesophageal reflux disease, or GERD, than patients with GERD developing fibro. But it took longer for repeated reflux or steady heartburn to present in fibro than for GERD patients to present with symptoms of fibro. Perhaps it's the stress of living with pain and working to manage it that lead to the GERD symptoms. Or maybe it's the chronic use of NSAIDs that fibro patients use that lead to GERD. I don't know, and I believe it's truly unknown. Dyspepsia, another term for indigestion, and GERD are prevalent in about 20% of people with fibro, according to a study by Erdrich et al. All I can tell you is that I only experienced heartburn one time before fibro, and that was during my pregnancy with my daughter. She weighed 9 pounds, 6 ounces when she was born and 22 inches long. Oh my goodness. It wasn't until years after my fibro diagnosis that I started to experience mild dyspepsia. And I mean mild. When I saw my gastroenterologist for the IBS symptoms, I discovered that I had something called silent GERD after I had an upper endoscopy, which is a camera at the end of a tube that the doctor puts down your throat while you're sedated. I also had a barium swallow test, and that was normal. I didn't know that I had GERD because it was silent, but he could see the effects of it from the endoscopy. I now take medication for it, so I'm hoping that will prevent more damage to my esophagus. And I try to avoid foods that are not on my approved list. I'm glad I had the test. At first I thought, why? But because I was already diagnosed with IBS, and this doctor confirmed it, he wanted to take a closer look. For more information on GERD and heartburn, I put a link to NYU Langone Health below. GERD can permanently damage the lining of the esophagus and lead to Barrett's esophagus, which is rare but very serious. Barrett's can produce precancerous cells in the esophageal lining, and nobody wants that. The occasional heartburn is normal after a heavy meal or when lying down after eating, so I don't mean to frighten anyone. That's why I always suggest talk to your physician if you're concerned. I hope you found this video to be helpful. I send gentle hugs and support your way. Have a blessed day. Love you. Oh my goodness, my doggies. Pitter pat, pitter pat. That's what happens around here. And I got one scratching at the door here wanting in. So, it's okay. We're gonna hang in there.